Well, we came in second, and there was a 4-team playoff, and when we got down to us and Georgia Tech at the end, I said to Mark Ingram, I said, well, I know we're at least going to win second. And he said, you never taught me that way. So the player got on the coach. And then that next time, that very hole, we lost.
What happened?
Came in second.
What happened?
I missed a 10-foot putt.
How was Mark playing though?
Mark played great. We had a great time. And it's a great event. They do a lot of charity work, and we'll get some scholarship money and some charity money for various organizations out of it. Chick-fil-A does a great job. Peach Bowl does a great job in that regard. Gary Stoken does a great job. We got to play with Urban Meyer. We got to play with Spurrier. We got to play with Georgia Tech, North Carolina State, South Carolina. So it was good.
You're paired with Urban though, is that right?
For the first night. And then they repair you for the second night.
What was that conversation like? You guys talking
all? There was no conversation. We were just playing. Jeff Logan played with him, and Jeff Logan from North Canton was somebody I recruited years ago. So it's fun.
Coach, what's your outlook for 2015 for this Crimson Tide football squad?
Well, I think the number one thing we want to do is try to get our identity back in terms of the kind of team we want to be, how we want to dominate the competition. I think we got too many people worried about winning and losing, and not enough about what we need to do to play our best and be our best all the time, and be physical and aggressive, and that's what we need to get back to, and that's what I'd like for our expectation to be. Players have been great in the offseason, had a good spring, made progress. We're a little bit of a work in progress on offense with all the players that we lost, but defensively I like what I saw in the spring, and we've got some good specialists, so it usually comes around that way. Last year we lost a lot of players on defense, and so you got to kind of rebuild something, and that's what we're focused on trying to do.
You talk about losing that identity. When do you think that started to fade a little bit? You talked about this a couple of times.
Well, I don't know that it ever really faded. I just don't like the way we finished the last 2 years. I thought that people were putting a lot of pressure on themselves to win big games rather than in the old days we just went out and played those games and tried to dominate the competition, didn't worry about the importance of the game, but the success has gotten some people and gotten some guys, and we just need to forget about that and just go try to play our best.
You said mojo a lot. To you, what is Alabama's mojo?
Well, it's momentum. It's your enthusiasm, your spirit, what's your purpose and goal and what you're trying to do. When we first came to Alabama, a lot of guys came to Alabama to make Alabama someplace special. But when you have a lot of success, sometimes people come to Alabama for what Alabama can do for them. And that's a completely different dynamic in terms of how you motivate, what your goals are, how you develop team chemistry. So, but I like the group that we have now, and I think we're going to get some of these things back.
Speaking of the guys coming up, is it fair? It's not fair to say that Blake won the quarterback job in offseason. Did Blake make enough progress last year in offseason that he put himself in first? Or are you looking for somebody to do that this summer?
Well, Blake really won the job in fall camp. I think that after 2 weeks and 2 scrimmages of fall camp, that's when he won the job. He obviously made a tremendous amount of improvement from the spring until fall camp, so having a good summer. And I think that's the one thing about the summer where the players spend more time with strength coaches and themselves, where leadership starts to really emerge on a team, because the coaches aren't always around like they are in off-season program, spring practice. We're not allowed to be with the players. We're not allowed to coach them on the field. That's where team chemistry really starts to form. That's where leadership starts to emerge, and I think that's the one thing that Blake did do, was he became a very inspirational guy and sort of won his teammates over with what he did during that time, and it carried over into fall camp and ended up winning a job.
Coach, we asked you at the very start of spring about Coach Mel and his impact. As spring went along, could you
Well, Coach Tucker's a really good coach. You know, we've coached together before, and he was a graduate assistant at Michigan State, coached on our first LSU staff, and we knew we were getting a very, very good coach. I think he, you know, demands and commands that players do things a certain way, and I think that's really important. I think, you know, we need a strong secondary coach. Much as you play 5 and 6 defensive backs, and everybody knows that I kind of dabble back there too, but I'm not the secondary coach. So I just help whoever is the secondary coach. And Mel's got a lot of experience. He understands the front and the back end, run fits for DBs, and I think you know, he's kind of reestablished the standard for expectation in terms of, you know, how we play back there, in terms of the effort that we give. You know, playing against all this no huddle stuff really sort of changed the dynamic of, you know, the defensive backs. You know, they do their job, but they don't run the ball as well. They don't play with as much energy and enthusiasm because they're worried about the next play all the time. And I think, you know, we got to get them to the ball, and then they got to get the call from the ball, and then go get lined up and go from there. And I think Mel's done a really good job of emphasizing turnovers, emphasizing finishing, emphasizing, you know, leverage. You know, some things that have become areas that we needed to improve in.
Coach, will you watch the draft Thursday night? You watched the first round. How much for you guys?
I've been to the draft, you know, every year, I think, for the last 5. But this year, I'm not going to go. You know, I don't think Amari's going to the draft. I think Landon is, but I'm not certain of that. So I didn't think, you know, that it was necessary. We've always had 2 or 3 guys, sometimes 4. So I'm hopeful that this will be the 5th straight year that we've had 2 guys in the first round, and that's something we're very proud of and happy for the players who get selected.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach.